Hi, everybody. This is lesson 6-3. This is unit 6. We're talking about multiplying polynomials. Um, Today we're going to look at some special products. And the only thing that's special about these is that they follow kind of a pattern. And if you can see that pattern, then you can kind of take some shortcuts to doing the multiplication. So this is just, again, just kind of a shortcutting thing. So our goal today is to recognize those special products and to use those properties to multiply these things together. And then basically, how can you do this? How can you use these properties? How can you use these special products to save you some time? And really, there's two special products that we're talking about. So we have this first one here that's called the difference of squares. Okay, so the difference of squares. And what we're looking for is when we have two binomials, right, that are exactly the same. The only difference is that one has a positive in the middle and one has a minus in the middle. So the x part, right, this first part will be the same. The second part will be the same. And the only thing that's different is that that second one has a negative b value and the first one has a positive b value. And the order of those doesn't matter. The negative can come first and the positive can come second. But it's just to notice, right, when you see that pattern. And what you can do is when you see that, what happens is that when you add these middle terms together, right, you FOIL this out or you do an area model, you combine those like terms at the end and you'll get one that's positive and one that's negative, but otherwise they'll be exactly the same. And what that means is when you combine those together, they'll cancel out. And so you'll just be left with the first terms, right, which is x times x, and the second terms, b times b. So you just end up with those first and last terms. So let me give you an example of that. So for example, if I had, let's say, x plus 5 and x minus 5. So I can see that those are exactly the same, except for one has a positive 5 and one has a negative 5. If I FOIL this out, right, I'll get x squared. The outside ones I'll get negative 5x, and the inside ones I'll get positive 5x. The last terms will be negative 5 squared. And so I'll just end up with x squared minus 5 squared, which is 25. So again, if I could see that pattern in there, right, I can very quickly get to that. Let's look at another example. If I had, 2y plus 3, right, and 2y minus 3. Okay. So again, those two binomials are exactly the same. One has a positive second term, a constant term, the other one has a negative constant term. So when I multiply these together, right, those middle terms are going to cancel out. So I can use this shortcut. I can just take this first term, 2y, and square it. 2 squared is 4, and y squared is y squared. And take that last term and square it. So 3 squared is 9, and it's going to be negative 9, minus 9. So I get 4y squared minus 9. Okay, so just a quick shortcut. If you see it, right, that's a nice little shortcut. The second one we're going to talk about is when we have a binomial squared. Okay, a binomial squared. And remember, this is the thing that confuses a lot of people. A lot of people have a misunderstanding about this. This is not simply x squared plus b squared, right? This square doesn't work like this. This is really x plus b times x plus b. It's that binomial multiplied by itself. Okay, so we will get a middle term. Now, up here, what happened was when we combined those middle terms canceled out because one was positive and one was negative. Down here, we're not going to see them cancel out because they're both positive. But what will happen is when we do this outside term and this inside term, right, this will be b times x plus b times x. We'll end up with two of those. Okay, so instead of them canceling out, we'll get two of them. And so this gives us x squared on the very front, b squared on the very end, and then in the middle, I just simply have x times b, and then I multiply that by 2. Okay, and again, that multiply by 2 comes from the fact that the outside and the inside will be the same, so when I combine those like terms, I'll get two of them. So an example here would be, if I had, let's say, x plus 4 squared. Okay, so my first term is going to be x squared. My last term is going to be 4 squared, which is 16. And my middle term is going to be 4 times x, which is 4x, and then times 2, so that's going to be 8x. Okay, so again, just kind of a shortcut there. And likewise, if I had, let's say 3, x minus y squared. Okay, so those numbers are the same. They don't have to both be positive. They just both have to be the same. So I have the 3x is going to be squared, so that's going to be 9x squared. The y squared is going to be the same. Now, negative y times negative y gives me positive y squared. And then that middle term is going to be 3x times negative y. So that's going to be negative 3xy, and then times 2. So that's going to be minus 6xy. Screen's kind of freaking out there. Okay. And really, that's all there is to it. All right. If we see this with a squared, we can square the first term, we can square the last term, and then we can multiply the two terms together, double that, and then that gives us our middle term. Okay, so that's really all there is to it. I'm going to leave you to take a look at the homework problems, and please let me know if you have any questions.